What's up, guys? Welcome to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Nvidia stock, ticker symbol NVDA, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Friday, April 12th. Alright guys, Nvidia stock here today up $35.77 per share. That's plus 4.11%, sitting in the low 900s here in the after hours. We got PPI this morning. That, of course, drove a lot of things across the market higher. That came out 1 hour before the market opened. So we have some changes to go over here on Nvidia now today. Again, things can change quick. So I'm covering Nvidia every single day. Hope to see you subscribe to the channel. And let's pull out everything the market was willing to reveal to us here today in terms of bias. And let's start on the 5-minute chart. We'll do a quick little analysis of what the volume profile is telling us a little bit behind the scenes. Let's take a look at this move to begin with. All right. And then I'm not going to circle anything else just because I want to look at the entire day. Today was such an obvious trend day on Nvidia, and there's not really a lot of outsized individual moves intraday. Kind of the whole day as you know, in its entirety is what I want to look at. So listen, obvious on the news. Again, it's on news. So we have to look at this a little bit differently, but there's some clear small bullish bias on the news, okay? But of course, that was market-wide, so it's a little bit different than what we would typically be looking for a stock-specific bias within an underlying move. Now, listen, we have to look at the intraday a little bit differently today as well, because it was a really obvious, smooth trend day. Again, not a lot of outlying moves on their own. So if we take a look at this, we have a very contextual open, right? We open with high volume and it fades quickly. Now, since we're not looking at any individual move, I just want to take a step back and look at this day as a whole, okay? And say, all right, on any little pops that we got away from what might be considered like the mean, all right? Like if we were to draw a line today, just on this entire move, any little pops or pullbacks that kind of deviate from that average, what does the volume look like when you really take a step back on all of them together? And when I look at it, you know, we have that contextual open. We can kind of put that aside because we got the really quick fade. And I kind of want to start looking at things from here on. When I look at this, I'm seeing a lot of pops on green moves in volume, and then a lot of little pull-ins in volume on the stock pullbacks. Guys, what do we always talk about? Like every single day, you're probably so sick of hearing me say it by now, but when a stock is moving in your favor, and that goes for on the daily chart over the course of 6 weeks, that also goes for on the 1-minute chart. Okay, here we're on the 5-minute chart. But when the stock is doing something that you like, you want it to be on higher volume comparatively than when it does something that you don't like, to put it really simply, right? And you know, it is really simple because you want a big sample size as much as possible, or at least more than the other side, to agree with your bias. And if you're a bull in these conditions, you're getting pops in volume on green moves on average, and then on average, little pullbacks in volume on red moves. And you can see that really clearly with even an untrained eye if you look at the volume profile from a step back than what we would normally look at it as, or from today. So the profile here today is pretty clearly, in my opinion, supporting this trend day to the upside that we got with an underlying bullish bias as well. Let's move on now to the 30-minute and take a look at the psychological levels. These are the levels that a lot of traders are going to have eyeballs on, kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy mentality. So we better take a look. Now, if you remember in last night's NVIDIA video, we were looking at the 200 period, that gray line. You know, we had reclaimed the 50. That was great to see. The 200 period was the next step for bulls here on the 30-minute. And guess what? We broke it today, ripped higher, on higher volume off the open, right? Made some tests below, you know, either way. We opened right above the 200 period. You know, tell me that's a coincidence. This self-fulfilling prophecy, right? These things tend to happen. And then what's really interesting is we got a retest here. It wasn't on tremendously low volume, but it was just off the open, right? It was a little bit lower than we've seen on that second candle compared to the last couple of days, right? You get a lower volume retest of the 200 period, and then boom, a little bit equal or slightly higher volume move back upside. Now, is it like a super obvious, really high volume break, super low volume test, super high volume bounce? No, right? But we can only take what we can get. The market's rarely going to give us the perfect scenario, but we need to know what the perfect scenario is so we have that in mind so we can look at things with a clear head. But this is a really nice reclaim, okay, on the 30 minute of the 200 period. And I like to see that. Bulls heading into tomorrow, this 50 period moving as high as possible to bring another psychological barrier as close to the stock price as we can is ideal. Okay, whereas bears here in the near term, you guys want to see the stock obviously coming down, not for the sake of it just coming down though, but to get beneath these psychological barriers as quickly as you can. This 50 period I expect is going to continue to move upside here into tomorrow. So if you bears can get back beneath that, that would be what you guys want to see. Here on the 4 hour, guys, we had been struggling to reclaim the 50 period, that white line here on the 4 hour. Did that today, no problem. The 4 hour is a little bit tougher to see a retest in a single day because you're dealing with 2 candles intraday. But this is exactly what the bulls wanted to see. This is exactly what we've been talking about. And if you guys remember here on the 4 hour on Nvidia, we were talking about how these two moving averages were forming kind of a channel along with 9 and 850. Then it started to dip in between and tighten down even tighter than this channel. And we've now broken through not only this on the 4 hour, which is a good thing to see, but if we look at the real story here on Nvidia, which is the daily, $900 a share just reclaimed. I don't know if you guys remember, but every trading day when you're really zoomed into the market, it feels like a long time. Like 3 trading days feels like a long time if you're really zoomed in. I don't know if you guys remember, but just back on, what was that, Tuesday? We were testing a break of 850. Just yesterday, we spent some time below 850. We opened below 850, right? And now here we are, bulls, back above 9. We're only at 906. I wouldn't say the bulls are out of the woods quite yet, but guys, this is a really nice couple of days here. We've gapped the entirety of the channel, a little bit more even, going from 850, below 850, to above 9 in a couple of days. Okay, that's a really great thing to see and reclaiming. Now, bulls, moving forward here, a hold of 9 is my number 1 priority. Honestly, continued upside is great, because your bulls are making money in the short term. But in terms of the health of the move here, if we bounced off 9 for like a day or two, even a little bit longer, I'm cool with that. I don't care as long as we hold 9. Whereas bears, a hard rejection and kind of like a change of heart from the market, rejecting below 9 once again, that's your guys' ideal scenario. Getting below 9, spending as much time intraday while the market session is going, like regular hours are happening, as much time below 9 as possible to let a lot of volume come in and kind of agree on that price in that period of time and closing below 9. That's what you bears want to see. Bulls don't want to see that. But that $900 level, that's the clear psychological area here in the short term, the near term on Nvidia. Now, implied volatility, guys, it's going lower and lower and lower. You might be experiencing a little bit of IV crush. Even if you're making money, you might have a little bit of Vega value getting squeezed out of those purchased contracts. That's part of IV coming down. This is your culprit right here. But understand, the lower that goes in relation to your intended trade time frame, the more favorable conditions become to purchase new contracts while IV is low, right? But context, right? Compared to the trade time frame that you're actually looking at. If you're looking for contracts for a week out, don't look at IV in the last 3 years. If you're looking at contracts for 18 months out, don't look at IV just in the last week, right? Context. All right, now, expected move. Let's take a quick look. The next expiration we have on Nvidia is tomorrow. So the expected move by tomorrow's close, right? This is by design. This doesn't have a directional bias, but it's plus or minus $16.07 per share. All right, so that's the expectation plus or minus of volatility from today's closing price to tomorrow's closing price, about $16 plus or minus. Now, directional bias. There's one more thing we can do here, right? My favorite part of the video. 1.82 million total contracts traded here today. 1.07 million calls. 753,000 puts. So we're seeing a call side bias here on the overall for Nvidia. But if we look at this, guys, the 0 to 20 delta range, again, the short-term speculator category, about 340,000 calls, 391,000 puts. So we're actually seeing the bears take over a little bit in terms of that short-term bias with a little bit of a put-heavy bias in the out-of-the-money, on average, shortest-term expiration contracts. But it's not overwhelming, but it's there. But still, that overall ratio, leaning call-heavy. Listen, guys, every day I'm sending out in-play alerts. Those are the stocks that are I would suppose what I consider in play, right? These are stocks that fit a very specific set of criteria, elevated relative volume. Typically, these have a fresh news catalyst. These are stocks that are moving, right? Hitting scanners all across the world. By far, the beefiest edge in my scalping and intraday trading comes from this set of stocks. I'm alerting those to members every single day in real time. I'm also sending out my personal scalp setup alerts, swing trade setup alerts as they come along. I also send out human verified by me unusual options activity. I've been doing that for years. That's how I kind of keep track of what the whales are doing. And of course, my platinum one-on-one group. This is my kind of smaller group of traders that I'm working with one-on-one, usually via like personal message, text-based personal message in Discord, as well as I usually go with voice messages. Guys, hope to see you join. There's, again, 4 different tiers to choose from in terms of membership level. And that link in the pinned comment, that'll let you get grandfathered in at the current rate, so you'll be immune to future price raises. Appreciate you guys. Hey, if you got value out of the video, listen, leave a like on the way out. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.